Greetings guitar freaks, I'm Steelianos, welcome to my channel. This time I'm gonna show you a little bit more about fretboard visualization on the guitar and intervals, which is a subject that we started a few days ago, and we discussed intervals and specifically major and minor seconds. What we said was that we need to know the quantity and the quality of each interval to determine the exact distance between the notes that we're looking for. So the next logical step after the seconds are the thirds. So thirds are a very important interval because we use it quite a lot both in chords, triads and 4-voice chords, as well as scales, pentatonics. It's used everywhere and it's a very standard and melodic interval, one would say. So we have two types of thirds. First type is minor thirds and the other one is major thirds. Right, so how can we think about them? Well, minor thirds, you can always think of one note and then ascend in your head one whole tone and a semitone higher than the note that you just thought of. So 3 semitones higher if you're looking for the minor third. If you're looking for a major third, you'd go for 2 whole steps up the note that is your root. So if I start from C and I'm looking for a minor third, I'm counting 3 semitones up, so it's an E flat. Remember I have to say the note name of the third note after the one I started. So if I started with a C, I have to say C, D, E, something with an E. So the note is an E flat and not a D sharp. And then if I was looking for a major third, and then if I was looking for a major third starting from a C as well, I'd go 2 whole steps higher, so C, D, E. Now, it would be a good idea to be able to think about any note and find the specific interval we're looking for. So, for example, if I was starting from an F root and I was looking for a minor third that have an A flat, if I was starting from the B flat and I was looking for a major third that have a D, if I started from an E flat and I wanted the minor third, I'd have a G flat. And in the same fashion, you can take every note from the circle of fifths or fourths, whichever you prefer, and start practicing your knowledge of third intervals, minor thirds and major thirds. And this is how we play them on the guitar. We have 2 ways to play both the minor and the major thirds. So starting from the minor thirds, this is the first way to play it in 2 strings. So this is the same in every string, apart from the strings G and B, where we have to adjust the finger a little bit by moving our finger up a fret because the tuning of the guitar changes in those 2 strings, as we said in the previous video. And then we're going back to the same fingering that we had before. And the other easy way to play a minor third would be 3 frets higher. So if I play them both, and moving on to the major thirds, I'd move everything once a fret higher. So, C. This is a major third, the E, and this is the other way to play it. And same goes for all the next C's that I have on my guitar. And it would be, as always, a great idea to transpose this into other tonalities as well. I have the transcriptions for this in tablature and standard notation on my Patreon page, which you can find the link in the description. Moving on from the thirds, we're going to the next interval, which are called fourths. And to be specific, we're only going to deal with perfect fourths right now. A perfect fourth is a distance of 2.5 steps above our root. So if I was starting on a C, I'd go up a step, D, up another one, E, and then F. This is the distance of a perfect fourth. Now, we said that the guitar is tuning perfect fourths, and this is true. What this means simply is that you can always find a perfect fourth right below your root note, apart from the strings G and B, where you have to move the higher note up a fret. So a general rule of thumb regarding perfect fourths would be to think that every natural note if you start counting 4 notes from it, it's going to give you a perfect fourth. And this applies to all natural notes apart from the F. So starting on a C, I'd have C, D, E, F. This is my perfect fourth. Starting on the D, for example, I'd have D, E, F, G. This is my perfect fourth. And the same thing applies to every other natural note, apart from the F, where the distance that we're looking for cannot be calculated by just counting notes. Why is that? In general, perfect fourths are the distance of 2.5 whole steps. So the distance from the C to the F, for example, is exactly this, 2.5. Now, if I started on an F and went to the fourth note, it would be F, G, A, and B. So right over here, the distance between the F and the B is 3 whole steps apart. So it's larger than a perfect fourth. This is why this interval is called an augmented fourth. So if I was looking for a perfect fourth with an F root, I'd go below one semitone, half a step, sorry. So from the F, I'd go back to the B flat. That would be my perfect fourth. So, as always, try to find all the perfect fourths for each of the tonalities and keep doing this until you can be great at it. And whichever note you're looking for example, A flat, the perfect fourth is a D flat. Or for example, starting on the, I don't know, B flat, you'd have an E flat. You should be able to think about this in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds tops. So don't stop until you get there. And now, how do we play perfect fourths? Well, as we said before, it's right below our root note. So, this is starting on the 6th string. Same thing applies to the A string. Now, on the D string, I'd have an exception. Of course, this applies here as well, but I also have another really useful fingering that we're going to learn about in the future, which is this one. So I'm going to have both of them, this one and this one. And then if I move to the next string, to the G string, I'd have the same exception. So for frets below, and then right over here, upper fret because the tuning changes. And then this is the final one. And we're done with the fourths, alright? Now the next logical step would be the augmented fourths. What are augmented fourths? Well, simply 1 semitone higher than the perfect ones. So the way that we play those, there are 2 basic fingerings. One would be this one, and the other would be this one. Same thing applies to this string as well. And then over here, from starting on the D string, I'd have to go up a fret because I'm landing on a B. And then, sorry, because I'm landing on a B. And then the next one, and on the G string I'd go up a fret again because I have the change of tuning of the G to the B as we said before, and then up a fret here as well. And the final one would be because I don't have any other possibilities. So again, the same thing should be applied to all other tonalities. Now, the next interval we're going to look into are the fifths. So the fifths and the fourths are kind of similar. Actually, fourth, if you flip it over, it becomes a fifth. So for example, the fourth, the perfect fourth of the C is a C, D, E, F, as we said before. If I flip it from an F to a C, counting from an F to a C, I'm going to have a fifth. So F, G, A, B, C. And this is also a perfect fifth. So if the fourth if a perfect fourth is flipped around, it becomes a perfect fifth. Now, the general rule to think about them would be to remember that each one of the natural notes, if you count 5 notes from it, it's going to produce a perfect fifth. And the same thing happens for every natural note apart from the B. The exception that we had in the fourths was the F. The exceptions that we're going to have in the fifths is the B, so the flipped interval that we had before. So the way to play them, actually no, wait, before we play them. So if I had to think about them, for example, starting from C, I'm just counting 5 notes, C, D, E, F, G, alright? if I needed a perfect fifth starting from a C flat, I'd have a G flat. So I don't even have to count or think about it too much. If I can think about the C, that the fifth of the C is the G, then I can simply transpose the whole thing by one flat. So C flat to G flat. Same thing goes for an F, for example. F, G, A, B, C. This is a perfect fifth. If I needed a perfect fifth from the F sharp, I'd go up a fret, so C sharp. Same thing goes for each one of the notes. And so I have two basic fingerings for the perfect fifths. The first one covers the span of 3 strings, and the other one is the classic power chord shape. So if I apply this to the rest of the strings, I'm gonna have these fingerings. And I'm done. For today I'm gonna stop right here, so we already know the seconds, the thirds, and the fifths. Alright? So a good idea right now would be to start combining these into larger structures, such as, for example, the major triad. If I wanted to build a C major triad or C major 3-voice arpeggio, I'd have a root, a major third, and a perfect fifth. So if I combine these from this, starting on this C, for example, I'd have a major third over here, I know this, and I have a perfect fifth over there. So if I play the whole thing, now if I started with my middle finger, I'd have major third, perfect fifth. With my index, major third, perfect fifth, and backwards. So I can play all 3 of them. And on the next string, the next one, next one. And finally, we only have those 2. Now, what would happen if I change the third from a major to a minor third? Well, then I'd have a minor triad, C minor triad. So, this is a minor third, and this is a perfect fifth. Combining them, and another fingering, and the final one. And if I went to the next string, next one, next one. Actually, the first one would be, and finally. As you can see, I'm already starting to see root position arpeggios right now. If I combine more than 1 octave, what would happen? For example, I can see this C right here, I can see this C right here as well, because we said before that these are all our Cs. So, if after my first major triad, start another one over here, I could play it like this. So, another finger would be, and another one. I'm playing the same, you can hear the same thing, but it's not exactly the same, but with different fingerings. So another way to play the same thing would be starting with the middle finger, then I have another C close by, right over here. So if I started over here, I'd have or, and I'm just combining different positions of the same triads. And this is the way that we usually get larger arpeggios, like ones you've heard in shoot picking exercises and whatnot. But we're not gonna worry about these things today. We have enough stuff to worry. So we learned about the thirds, major thirds, minor thirds, perfect fourths, perfect fifths. So other structures that you could also try using and thinking of intervals instead of the major and minor triad would be the sus2 triad. So 1, 2, major second, and perfect fifth. So you did the same thing with different fingerings, you get stuff like this. The sus triad, the sus4 triad. So 1 perfect fourth and perfect fifth. If if I change the finger a little bit and have this, or maybe this. Different ways to play the same thing. I could also try the diminished triads, so minor third, diminished fifth, so, or, and the augmented triad as well, so major third and augmented fifth, so, or maybe, and if you combine this, you'll be able to start to see things differently. But I'm not gonna go into too much depth today regarding triads and arpeggios. I'm gonna save it for another time. So practice this before we get to the 6th and 7th and the octaves and the scales and different stuff. I think this is enough for you to practice for a few days, especially if you start practicing in different tonalities as well. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you did actually enjoy it and learn something cool from it, and leave a comment with whatever you'd like to see in the future from this channel. You can also check out my Patreon pages on the description, where I have tablatures and notation and other stuff in many different tonalities and everything you might need regarding the lessons that you see here on YouTube. So that was it for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you the next time. Cheers.